The Atheist Debates Patreon Project presents viewer questions from January 2022. Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. I'm enjoying getting the opportunity to answer questions as they come in. We went months and months without actually addressing some of the questions. And because of that, the questions started to kind of dwindle a little bit. But we've got a bunch of them, and I think part of it's because I had a triple bypass heart surgery, and I'm recovering from that, which is the other reason these videos are really late getting done, and why I'm wearing the same shirt in all three of them. But I wanted to make sure that we got a chance to answer some questions. I realize that some of these questions are going to have nothing to do with debates and atheism and secular humanism, and yet even the ones that are about me and my health are going to be relevant to this channel as well. So William sent a message saying, glad you're doing better. Do you have a post office box? William wanted to send me some stuff. And the answer is no, I don't have a post office box, and I'm not going to be getting one. For those who don't have my home address, the easiest way to get packages to me is to send them through the Atheist Community of Austin. And so you can just send them to Matt Dillahunty, care of Atheist Community of Austin. And the address is 1507 West Koenig, Koenig Lane, 78756. That website should be on the Atheist Community of Austin's website. I will caution you, though, I get lots of packages. I get people sending me their books, which I don't have time to read. People sending me, care packages to get well. And actually, recently, somebody sent me a package asking me to distribute the package to the other parts of this package to Seth and Aaron. They wanted to make sure that all three of us got something. And, I'll do my best, but I'm not your remailing service, and those guys don't live near me. And while I'm friends with them, that doesn't mean that I just want to pass along everything. But in this case, I'll do it. SG wrote, you are awesome. That is all. Now get back to making videos so I can pay you for them. Thank you, SG. I have put up videos so that you can pay me for them. Demon Fall Down said, I hope that you recover as well as possible from your operation. I've been an atheist for about 20 years, but you've helped me discover the tools to properly articulate the thoughts that led me there. Thank you so much for igniting me a passion for philosophy and epistemology. I'm a high school physics teacher and have been using these ideas to enhance my courses. Please let me know if you have any recommendations on further reading for an education major that never took classes in these subjects. I appreciate your time, and please answer in your own time. Your recovery and health is most important. Thanks again for helping to guide me to the tools to think more deeply on the subjects that I took for granted in my everyday life. There's actually, before I give an answer, I'm going to read another email because these answers are going to be tied together. The second one is from Jim that says, good morning, Matt. I'm going to keep this short because I'm working from the Gmail listed on your mostly defunct Facebook page, which means he's probably not at the right Facebook page. But I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know how else to contact you. Anyhow, I'm really glad that your surgery was successful. I discovered you a little bit more than a year ago and have become a giant fan. I've always been an atheist and a skeptic as far back as I can remember, but listening to you has brought a new, deeper level of thinking about it and understanding logical arguments. So thank you for that. You're most appreciated. I've not heard you mention Carl Sagan on the show before, but I imagine that you're a fan. My father and sister have been fans for decades, but I have yet to read one of his books. This email is really just an excuse to say hello, but I'm also honestly asking your opinion on which one I should read first. So both of these are asking for book recommendations. And not too long ago, I put up a video, probably in the last 6 or 7 months, called What Should I Read? And it is a list of books. And so some of these will be on there. But when it comes to Carl Sagan, the two books that I recommend most frequently are The Demon-Haunted World, Science as a Candle in the Dark, and The Varieties of Scientific Experience, which is a collection of essays that his wife put together posthumously. But it's his views on secularism, atheism, agnosticism, etc., and in pretty much any discussion that he did at a university on religion. those two give a good look into who Sagan was. You're right to assume that I'm a fan. I don't mention him frequently on the show because Sagan didn't have the impact on my life that some other people did. Don't get me wrong. I love Cosmos, and there were aspects of it that changed my life without ever even knowing that was what was changing it. But the person who had a bigger influence on my life was James Burke. And it was because, without addressing religion or anything in that ballpark, with shows like The Day the Universe Changed and Connections, and to a lesser extent, some of the sequels to Connections, which I know there's work being done on. Those, I have the DVD box sets of both of those and hope to rewatch them. I hope they stand up. But James Burke's way of looking at the world and showing how a need for a better timekeeping device in this area led all the way up to whatever modern invention. It really, those series, Connections and The Day the Universe Changed, which I know I've talked about before, had a huge impact on my life. And when it comes to books about philosophy and epistemology, the most common book that I recommend, which I know was in the video, was A Concise Introduction to Logic by Patrick J. Hurley. And then there's also Informal Logic, a handbook on critical argumentation from Cambridge Press by Walton. Those are the two that I tend to grab most frequently. But if you don't want to dig in on the books, I think you can start at Wikipedia articles. Just make sure that you also look for citations at the bottom and try to follow those. And you can end up going down a rabbit hole around epistemology, and then you'll find the areas in particular that are appealing to you, and then you can get a little more laser focus there. Madsen says, oh, yes, this is going to be incredibly difficult. Madsen says this: how could Paul, then Saul, persecute Christians in Damascus? Yes, the Sanhedrin is said to have given him some kind of mandate, but Damascus was not in Judea, it was in Syria. And while the Jews had certain rights in Judea, they didn't have them in other Roman provinces. And I can't imagine the Romans looking kindly upon a religious vigilante running around through their provinces. I think Acts is mostly a novel with only a small grounding in facts, but Paul mentions his experience himself. If you don't know the answer quickly, just don't bother. I know you have more important things to do, for example, healing, but it's just something that the internet refuses to answer, and it bugs me. I'm going to be as frank as I can. I am not a historian. I have no expertise in this area. I don't know what power, and I don't know about the power structures. I don't know who controlled what. I will say that, given what you've said, well, all I can do is look at what Paul himself says, which in Galatians he talks about his previous life in Judaism and how intensely he persecuted the church of God and tried to destroy it. He said, I was advancing Judaism beyond many of my own age among my people and was extremely zealous for the traditions of my father. And then there's the talk of him participating in the stoning of Stephen. I don't view Saul's persecution, as it's described by himself and others, as if it were officially sanctioned or endorsed by any governing authority, or that it was a religious vigilante. When we see claims of persecution, it is not just, oh, we're going to stone people to death for believing the wrong thing, although that is part of it. Doing everything we can to stop the spread of a particular religion or to make those people who are trying to spread that religion face consequences. You got to remember, it's not like there were, ready police to go to, and what could you do if you were in the religious minority other than say that somebody picked on you? And so persecution can take on a variety of forms. I don't specifically know enough about this to answer your question as to how Paul could do it. But I think it could be at least feasible that there are people who claim that I persecute believers. That's not true. But am I doing everything I can to expose the bad arguments and make it difficult for them to, publicly state their views without embarrassment? I'm definitely doing that. And if that counts as persecution, well, okay. I think we should have a slightly higher bar for persecution. But the question that you ask about Saul, not only can I not give you a good answer, neither can the Bible. And I'm not convinced. I recognize your frustration with the internet not being able to give you an answer, but I'm not sure that anybody truly can, because all we have are stories that are told from biased representatives, not the least of which is Paul himself. But I appreciate the question. I'm flattered that you thought I might have an answer. I really don't, other than to say that persecution is loosely defined, and especially somebody who used to despise a religion and is now part of it, maybe looking back on their past and claiming they were more against it or did more against it than they did. I don't have any reason to think that Paul is particularly honest or reasonable. And so it could be, well, I used to be a Jew and I used to persecute Christians, but now I don't. And maybe he just meant he didn't like Christianity. Maybe he didn't do anything that counts truly as persecution. It's hard to say. The final message is really short, and it's from Paul, and he writes, I would like you to know that I am not praying for your quick recovery, no performance pressure. Thank you so much, and thank you to everybody else for the well wishes. I am recovering on or ahead of schedule. I plan to get the videos done without a hitch. I've got one more to do to finish up January today. And while the support has been amazing, the encouragement to take downtime and to not rush into getting back to work was well received, but I need to get back to work. It's one of the things, talking, because I have a breathing issue as part of the recovery. Talking more and more is much like going for walks as far as my exercise. So thanks, everybody. We will see you later.